The British monarchy is not a bank for betrayers, and King Charles has just delivered a cold, final execution to Prince Harry's ultimate financial delusion, a staggering $59 million invoice that has been returned to sender with a message that will haunt Montecito forever. Imagine the scene on the morning of the 4th of March 2026. While Harry paced the halls of the Royal Courts of Justice, his legal team issued a desperate $59 million reclamation of costs to the keeper of the privy purse, claiming the king must subsidize his son's failing legal crusades. This was no ordinary bill. It was a wish list of madness, including a $10 million honor restoration fee and $17 million for lost Hollywood income. But the king's response was a masterclass in royal boundary setting. From the high-security walls of the Northwood military headquarters, a location chosen specifically to distance himself from his son, Charles issued a clinical severing of the final link between Harry and the sovereign grant. He branded the lawsuit a suicide mission and refused to pay a single penny for what he called senseless stubbornness. As Harry's core evidence implodes under revelations of forged documents and secret family betrayals, the world is watching a prince face total isolation. Stay with us until the end of this broadcast, because we are about to reveal the Beatrice Dossier, the secret digital archive that proved Harry was conspiring with Prince Andrew to blackmail the crown. Plus, we'll see the exact moment Meghan Markle initiated her cold brand decoupling to protect her assets from Harry's looming bankruptcy. You cannot afford to turn away. The truth is far more explosive than the headlines suggest. The atmosphere inside courtroom 73 of the Royal Courts of Justice transitioned from tense to electric as the cornerstone of Prince Harry's multi-million-dollar legal strategy didn't just crack, it imploded. For months, Harry and his high-profile attorney, David Sherborne, had touted the testimony of private investigator Gavin Burrows as the smoking gun that would finally bring the publisher of the Daily Mail, Associated Newspapers Limited, ANL, to its knees. Burrows was supposed to be the ultimate insider, the man who would admit to a decade of illegal phone hacking on behalf of the tabloids. Instead, he became Harry's executioner. In a dramatic sworn statement that sent shockwaves through the legal world, Gavin Burrows officially flipped. Standing before the court, Burrows didn't just retract his previous allegations. He deconstructed them with surgical precision. He declared that the core evidence Harry was relying on to prove unlawful information gathering was completely and utterly forged. Burrows admitted under oath that the documents detailing alleged hit lists of Harry's associates and logs of intercepted calls were fabrications designed to fit a predetermined narrative. The motive for this fabrication was as sordid as the evidence itself. Burrows confessed to the court that he had been in a state of extreme financial distress and was effectively incentivized by members of Harry's legal circle to produce incriminating material against ANL. More damningly, Burrows revealed that he had been promised a lucrative book deal and a consultancy fee that would only materialize if his testimony led to a massive settlement or a victory for the Duke of Sussex. "I was a man looking for a way out," Burrows told the court, "and I was told exactly what the truth needed to look like. It wasn't the truth, it was a script." This revelation has left Prince Harry's case crumbling by the day. The Duke, who had been seen pacing the hallways with defiant confidence just 48 hours earlier, was reportedly incandescent with rage as the proceedings unfolded. Witnesses near the Duke's legal pod described him as visibly trembling, his face a mask of humiliation, as the very man he had championed as a whistleblower branded him a consumer of fake news. The fallout from the Burrows defection is catastrophic. Not only has it stripped Harry's case of its primary witness, but it has also opened the door for ANL's defense team to pursue a counterclaim of perverting the course of justice. If it is proven that Harry's legal team knew or even suspected that the evidence was manufactured, the Duke could face more than just financial ruin. He could face criminal investigations. Adding to the firestorm, Rebecca English, the royal editor of the Daily Mail, delivered a masterclass in journalistic integrity that directly contradicted Harry's claims of espionage. Harry had long maintained that a 2004 story about his relationship with Chelsea Davy could only have been obtained through illegal phone tapping. English's testimony was a cold bucket of reality. "There were no hackers in the bushes," she stated firmly. She revealed that the secret information had actually been blabbed to the news desk by one of Harry's so-called loyal friends seeking money or favor. The betrayal didn't come from a computer server. It came from Harry's own gilded social circle. As the clock struck 9 a.m., at Buckingham Palace, on the 4th of March 2026, a courier delivered a document that would forever be remembered as the pinnacle of Prince Harry's legal and financial insanity. Facing a catastrophic collapse of his privacy case and staring down a debt mountain exceeding $10 million in court-ordered costs, Harry's legal team from California took a gamble of historic proportions. They issued a formal reclamation of costs invoice to the keeper of the privy purse, demanding a total of $59 million USD to be paid immediately by King Charles III. The justification offered by Harry's camp was as transparent as it was brazen. Harry argued that since the royal family had failed to protect his reputation during his youth, and since his current litigation was effectively cleaning up the mess left by the monarchy's historical silence, the institution and specifically his father was the ultimate beneficiary of his sacrifice. His representatives claimed that by forcing the tabloids into court, Harry was exposing the truth for the benefit of the crown, and therefore the crown must bear the entire financial burden. Internal leaks from the royal treasury have revealed the granular detail of this invoice, painting a picture of a man who has lost all touch with financial reality. The charges were not merely legal fees, they were a wish list for a lifestyle Harry could no longer sustain. Legal fees and the Sherborne factor, $15 million. This covered the multi-year retainer for David Sherborne and a small army of researchers who spent thousands of hours scouring through archives, many of which produced the forged evidence that led to the case's downfall. A&L Indemnity Fund, $12 million. A preemptive demand for the palace to cover the exact amount Harry expects to be ordered to pay the Daily Mail for their legal victories. The Honor Restoration Surcharge, $10 million. An arbitrary figure Harry calculated as the market value of his personal time spent defending the Windsor name. Private security logistics, $5 million. This included chartered private jets and 24/7 armed protection during his UK visit's security that the UK Home Office had already stripped him of, which Harry now expected his father to fund privately. Opportunity cost and income gap, $17 million, the most ridiculous inclusion. Harry claimed that the stress and time of the trial prevented him from securing new production deals in Hollywood, effectively demanding that King Charles subsidize his failed commercial career in the United States. The response from King Charles III, issued within hours of the invoice's arrival, was a masterclass in royal boundary setting. Having just returned from the Northwood military base, a visit carefully timed to ensure he was unavailable for any face-to-face pleas from his son, the king authorized a statement that was both a legal shield and a personal sword. The briefing from a senior palace official was unequivocal. The private legal crusades of a non-working member of the royal family, conducted against the express advice of the crown, are the sole responsibility of that individual. To suggest that the British public or the sovereign's private estate should subsidize a suicide mission built on questionable evidence was labeled not only legally baseless but morally reprehensible. The king's use of the term suicide mission was a deliberate sting, signaling that the palace had been monitoring the trial's progress and was well aware of the revelations regarding forged evidence. Charles was making it clear he would not fund a fraud. Reports from Montecito suggest that Harry's attempt to redirect these costs onto his father was born of pure desperation. The Duke is reportedly facing a liquidity crisis, with his spare royalties largely spent on a $14 million mansion and an annual security detail costing $2 million. With Netflix and Spotify deals either expired or underperforming, Harry had bet everything on a massive settlement. When that settlement vanished, replaced by a $10 million debt to his enemies, he turned to the only source of wealth he had left, the family he had spent years attacking. While the financial ruin of Prince Harry's $59 million demand smoldered, a second, more personal explosion rocked the foundations of the Duke's remaining social credibility. For years, Princesses Beatrice and Eugenie were whispered to be Harry's last bridge to the House of Windsor, the only cousins who maintained a warm, communicative relationship with the Montecito exiles. However, on the afternoon of March 4, following the king's clinical rejection of Harry's invoice, a devastating revelation emerged. Princess Beatrice had turned whistleblower. The source of the revelation was King Charles III himself, who signaled through senior palace aides that the crown's hardened stance was based on intelligence provided from within the family. It was Beatrice who reportedly handed over a digital dossier to the king's private secretary, containing a series of encrypted messages and emails that laid bare a toxic secret alliance between Prince Harry and his disgraced uncle, Prince Andrew. The contents of the Beatrice Dossier describe a calculated retaliation pact formed in late 2025. According to the leaks, Harry and Andrew, both feeling discarded and humiliated by the king's streamlining of the monarchy, agreed to synchronize their legal and media attacks. Their goal was to create a pincer movement of scandals that would overwhelm the palace's communications team, eventually forcing the king to settle Harry's legal debts and restore Andrew's royal status and security detail in exchange for peace. Before we delve further into this family fallout, I hope this video finds you in good health and safety. As we examine these global alliances, we are curious to know how far this story has traveled. Could you please share the city or country from which you are watching today in the comments below? Beatrice's decision to expose this alliance was not born of malice, but of a desperate sense of self-preservation. Following the shock arrest of Prince Andrew on the 19th of February 2026, in connection with unsealed Epstein-related misconduct files, the York sisters found themselves staring into a social and professional abyss. Beatrice realized that by continuing to shield Harry's underground coordination with her father, she was effectively tethering her own future and that of her sister Eugenie to a sinking ship. The messages revealed that Harry had encouraged Andrew to hold firm against the king's demand to vacate Royal Lodge. He promised that his own victory against the Daily Mail would provide the moral leverage and financial war chest needed to fund Andrew's legal comeback. Harry's plan was to use his projected $50 million payout from the A&L lawsuit to bankroll a shared legal defense fund for both him and Andrew. However, the self-destruction of Harry's case at the Royal Courts of Justice, combined with Sarah Ferguson's forced closure of her Sarah's Trust charity on the 3rd of February 2026, meant the war chest was empty. Beatrice saw the writing on the wall. Harry's suicide mission was going to take the entire York family down with him. By coming forward to King Charles, she successfully decoupled the sisters from the wreckage, trading the secret details of Harry's plot for the king's continued protection. With the Beatrice Dossier in hand, the palace's response was swift and merciless. Princess Anne, acting as the king's enforcer, has moved to accelerate the eviction of the Yorks from Royal Lodge. The revelation of Andrew's collaboration with Harry was the final straw for the king. The once untouchable 30-room mansion is now the target of a deep clean operation as Anne prepares to transition the property into a high-security asset for working members of the family, such as Prince Edward and Duchess Sophie. For Harry, the Beatrice betrayal is a psychological blow from which he may never recover. He had trusted his cousins to be his eyes and ears inside the palace. To find out that Beatrice had been documenting his retaliation plans and handing them directly to the enemy has left Harry in a state of paranoid isolation. In Montecito, the realization that Harry's clandestine moves were known to the palace for months has caused a total communications blackout within the Duke's camp. Harry is no longer just a spare. He is now viewed by his own family as a leaker who was outmaneuvered by his own cousin. Beatrice's defection marks the end of the York-Sussex alliance, leaving Harry standing alone on the global stage. As the external legal and royal structures in London systematically dismantled Prince Harry's credibility, a different kind of demolition was taking place behind the reinforced gates of the Sussex's California estate. For Meghan Markle, the calculation shifted from us against the world to me against his debt. Industry insiders in Hollywood and Silicon Valley began reporting a definitive and cold brand decoupling strategy being executed by Meghan's high-powered PR and legal team. The strategy was simple but brutal. Insulate Meghan's remaining commercial ventures from the toxic, failing litigation of her husband. As Harry's privacy case entered its self-destruct phase, Meghan initiated a series of moves designed to signal to global investors that she was no longer a passenger on what King Charles had labeled a suicide mission. The primary driver for this sudden distance was the looming $10 million to $12 million in legal costs Harry was expected to pay to Associated Newspapers Limited, A&L. Because the couple's primary assets are held in the United States, Meghan reportedly moved to legally ring-fence her own earnings. This included her lifestyle brand, American Riviera Orchard, and her separate production deals. The $59 million invoice Harry sent to King Charles was seen by Meghan's advisors as a last-ditch act of desperation that effectively signaled the end of Harry's viability as a commercial partner. Sources close to their California circle stated that Meghan, ever the strategist, saw the data. Harry's truth had become a liability that no streaming service or publisher wanted to touch. The shift was visible in the optics of their public lives. Throughout the most damaging week of the trial, including the shock testimony regarding forged evidence, Meghan was conspicuously absent from Harry's side. Unlike previous court appearances where hand-holding and unified front optics were the norm, Harry was left to pace the halls of the Royal Courts of Justice alone. Instead, Meghan was seen at high-profile solo business meetings in Los Angeles, focusing on wellness, empowerment, and luxury lifestyle topics that were light years away from Harry's gritty, paranoia-fueled battle with the British tabloids. This was not just a change in schedule. It was a calculated rebranding. By distancing herself from the angry prince narrative, Meghan attempted to salvage her status as a global influencer before the mounting debts forced a fire sale of their Montecito assets. The realization that the Sussexes had no remaining allies in the palace, following the revelation of the Beatrice Dossier, caused a chilling effect in Hollywood. Major talent agencies reportedly advised Meghan to lean into her own story and stop referencing the royal family entirely, as the association had transitioned from prestigious to litigious and bankrupt. As of the 4th of March 2026, the fracture in Montecito was no longer a rumor but a business reality. While Harry sat in his study obsessing over the forged evidence allegations and the perceived betrayal by his father, Meghan was looking at the spreadsheets. The news that Harry had met his match in the legal team of the Daily Mail served as Meghan's signal to exit. The brand decoupling was the first step in a strategic retreat. Whether this professional separation eventually leads to a personal one remained a subject of intense speculation, but the financial line had been drawn. Meghan Markle would not be the one writing a check for $10 million to cover Harry's mistakes. The Duchess was moving on, leaving the Duke to face the consequences of his legal gamble in the lonely halls of a court he was never supposed to enter. As the high-stakes legal drama at the Royal Courts of Justice reaches its inevitable conclusion in March 2026, the global media is bracing for a written judgment that experts believe will be the final nail in the coffin of Prince Harry's public life. The suicide mission that began with aggressive lawsuits and a $59 million demand for financial salvation has ended not in a blaze of glory, but in a crushing mountain of debt. The presiding judge, Mr. Justice Nicklin, is expected to deliver a verdict reflecting the catastrophic collapse of Harry's evidentiary basis. With Gavin Burrows admitting to forged documents and Rebecca English proving that leaks originated from Harry's own inner circle, the legal foundation for the Duke's claims has effectively turned to dust. The most immediate and devastating impact of this final verdict is the costs order. Legal analysts predict Harry will be ordered to pay 100% of Associated Newspapers Limited's A&L legal costs, a figure estimated at $14.6 million. Combined with his own legal fees of $15 million, the Duke is facing a total liability of nearly $30 million, a sum that exceeds his estimated liquid net worth. The Bank of Dad remains firmly shut. King Charles III's declaration was not a temporary refusal but a permanent policy shift. By labeling the venture a suicide mission, the king ensured that no taxpayer money or private duchy funds would be diverted to bail out a son who chose litigation over loyalty. The era of the royal safety net for Harry has officially ended. While Harry faces financial ruin, the royal family has moved on with ruthless efficiency. The vacuum left by the Sussexes and the disgraced Prince Andrew has been filled by a disciplined new guard. Prince Edward and Sophie, Duchess of Edinburgh, have emerged as the backbone of the monarchy, taking over the patronages and public duties that Harry once held dear. The redistribution of assets is also reaching completion. Princess Anne, acting with the iron broom authority granted by the king, has overseen the final stages of the Royal Lodge eviction. The property, once a symbol of Prince Andrew's stubbornness and Harry's secret alliances, is being repurposed into a high-security asset for working members of the family. The York-Sussex axis of power has been completely dismantled, replaced by a streamlined working core centered around Prince William and Catherine. The most tragic element of this final chapter is the human cost. Harry, once the most popular member of the royal family, is now a man without a country and without a cause. His crusade to fix the media has resulted in a court ruling that essentially labels his methods as fraudulent and his paranoia as baseless. In the United States, the brand decoupling initiated by Meghan has left Harry as a solitary figure, a duke of debts, whose only remaining currency is a set of grievances the world has grown tired of hearing. He has become irrelevant, not because of a lack of birthright, but because of a total loss of credibility. The events of late March 2026 serve as a stark lesson in the dangers of hubris. Financial loss. A negative $30 million impact from legal fees and penalties. Social loss. Total isolation from both the York cousins and senior royals. Reputational loss. Being branded by the High Court as a consumer of forged evidence. Strategic loss. The permanent closure of any path back to a working royal life. As the sun sets on the royal courts of justice, the story of the prince who went to war with the world concludes. The truth Harry sought was finally found, but it wasn't the one he wanted. The Daily Mail didn't destroy Harry. His own choices, secret alliances, and detachment from reality did. The Duke of Sussex remains a prince by title, but in every other sense, he is now a commoner facing the very common reality of his own making. The legal collapse of Prince Harry in March 2026 offers a profound lesson in the difference between having a platform and having a purpose. This suicide mission proves that when you weaponize your own history to settle personal scores, you risk destroying the very legacy you claim to protect. True influence is not built on grievances or the demand for others to pay for your mistakes. It is earned through accountability and the courage to face the truth, even when it is uncomfortable. From a personal perspective, watching this $59 million saga unfold is like witnessing a high-stakes tragedy of Shakespearean proportions. It is the story of a man who had everything, the love of a nation, the protection of a crown, and a seat at the table of history, yet traded it for a script of paranoia and forged evidence. The irony is biting. In his quest to destroy the tabloids, Harry became the architect of his own reputational ruin, proving that the most dangerous enemy is often the one we see in the mirror. As the Bank of Dad closes and the brand decoupling leaves him in isolation, we see the harsh reality of life outside the royal safety net. What is your verdict on this royal fallout? Do you believe the king was right to draw such a firm line in the sand? Or has the path to reconciliation been permanently destroyed? Comment below with your thoughts. We are eager to hear your perspective. If you appreciated this deep dive into the truth behind the headlines, please hit the like button. To stay informed on every twist and turn of this evolving history, subscribe to the channel and turn on all notifications. Thank you for watching, and remember, your truth is your own to pay for.